Hey everybody, I just thought I'd show you a mistake. I was just going to fix it. I wasn't trying to cover anything up, and then I thought I need to show everybody. So I made a video where I showed, or at least a video clip where I showed me cutting these holes for the bulkheads for my water into my buffer tank, and I installed everything like so, put the nuts underneath, and then realized I couldn't tighten the nuts up down here. And then I started thinking, when I looked underneath there, I could see this, you know, hexagon here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah, hexagon here, where I can put a pair of pliers on there as a backup wrench when I tighten this nut up. So how can you get 2 wrenches in here to do that? And then I just realized that they're supposed to come up from the bottom. So not a huge deal since this is water, but so now, you know, I've got these supply lines from my 3-way that come up here, and there's really no room. I left, you know, no extra here, so I'm gonna have to heat this up, take these off, flip everything around, and put it together correctly. I got it about 500 degrees. All right, now I can take all this apart, put it together right. You know, right when you think you're doing good, you make a stupid mistake like that. I've never installed bulkheads. It just, I don't know why I put it in that way. Didn't think about it. So the seal goes right here on the inside, which makes more sense. And then this is a reverse thread. So much better. Now I can put a backup wrench here and tighten that nut. All right, we're going to redo it. Get her done. I heat it up till where I can feel it pretty noodly, because this suction line here with this real hard plastic in it is unbelievably hard to get on these barb fittings. So I just learned to heat them up where they're pretty darn noodly, like this. See that? Okay, that looks good. I'll be putting clamps on here anyway. When you make mistakes like this, these are ones you'll never forget. That won't ever happen to me again. All right, so everybody knows this is a Harbor Freight Predator motor, and this fuel filter was hidden back in here, and only that well, I'm going to lose it now, but only the nipple was sticking out. Only this nipple was sticking out right here, and you couldn't pull this filter out. You couldn't get it out. So I took this front cover here off and pulled this line out, and now I'm going to bring it through the front. Bring it through the front right in here, and then I can mount my filter out here, and you know, it's closer to my tank, so it's just a better deal all the way around. Guys and gals, if you're not using step bits for drilling plastic, polycarbonate, anything that's brittle, metal's not brittle. Well, most metal's not brittle, but so each time it drills, it only drills about a 1/16 at a time. So once you get it started, the drag on your equipment like this drill, and on you as far as torque, and you splitting the plastic and all that is reduced by like tenfold. So you can get these bits at Harbor Freight. That's where I get them. They last a long time. They're cheap. I just use them all the time. So I'm guessing where I'm going to drill this hole. So here's the mounting hole right here, and I'm going to bring this through about right here, so it's down an inch and over an inch. So we're going to go down an inch and over an inch, so right in here. And I'm going to make a big hole so it has room to move around, and I'll probably put another little hose over the top of it to keep it from chapping. So see how easy that was, and no splitting? So now everything's nice. Put these bolts back in. Alright, so I've got a piece of 1/2 inch hose right here. Slip over. And it's a little tight. There we go. Just like that. Keep it from chapping. Now, I don't like this little crook in it. There's no need for that crook. So let's cut that off. And I don't like this Chinese filter. I'm going to put a better filter on here. I got this small engine fuel filter from Oregon, and it's made in China also. I mean, everything's made in China really, but it does look like it's quite a bit better filter. At least I can see into it. So should go this way. Another thing about anything China, if you walk into Harbor Freight, all that rubber smell is, I think, is just what's called inferior rubber smell, because they sure put some cheap rubber on everything, and there's some, you know, tires and hose in there, and it just stinks. Alright, so I use my trusty silicone grease, put a little bit on the nipple so it'll slide on. Get our clamp on. Get our filter on. And the clamp. Here's another little tip. The main issue I see online with the Predator motor is the fuel pump. Now the fuel pump is hidden down under here, so I have to take this cover off and this blower housing off, and then the fuel pump's in there. Now, I already mentioned that the Chinese rubber and neoprene and all that is pretty much inferior, and I guarantee you they did not figure people running ethanol fuel in here. You know, like you go up to the pump and it'll say 10% ethanol. So that's basically what that is alcohol, and alcohol will eat any of this neoprene and rubber if it's not, you know, chemically designed for that. And I guarantee you that's what's eating up the fuel pump. And then if it gets past the fuel pump, then you have a carburetor with probably, you're hoping it's got a Viton needle and seat, but there's other, you know, O-rings, diaphragms, all this crap in carburetors, and I guarantee you it's messing that up. So virtually any small engine, you do not want to run any fuel with ethanol in it. Even if your motor says it's rated for ethanol, I would not put it in there. So, as you guys probably already know, when you buy a fuel tank or a water tank or something like that, you need a way to hold it down. So I've got this tote down with eye bolts through the bed, and this is the cheapest way, because especially for a tote, to just use some ratchet straps. But you guys that buys tanks like this one right here, this tank's like $180, but if you get the 2 straps, it's like another $180. It's just silly. So same way with the fuel tank. I don't even think this one even had any provision to purchase any strap kit. So I didn't want to put the ratchet straps here. I wanted something smaller and cheaper, so I had my sheet metal guy, and just look for a heating and cooling guy or a tinsmith, something like that, and they've got this metal. It's actually pretty hefty metal. It's what they use to build ductwork out of, and I should have had them made it wider, but so I had him cut me some strips so I could use this to mount various items, and so I just bent it, and if you put your screws in such a way, it'll like pull down tight. So I made it just a little short so it'll pull down, and so basically that's what you do. So what I did was, so I bent the end over like so, like that. See, like this, so there's no sharp edge. That's basically called a hem. So you put a hem in it, and then your sharp edge is gone by bending it back on itself. And then just going like this, and there you have it, like that. So just make sure you don't make them too long, make them a little short, and then your screws will put tension on it. So I'm going to put some holes in here first, so it'll be easier to get these screws in. So I'm using these self-tapping deck screws. They're pretty mean looking. Self-tapping cutter right here. So when you drill your hole, don't drill it in the center, because that's not going to pull the strap down. In fact, you'll leave a little bit right here that the strap will come loose. So you want to put it right here toward the end, so the head of your screw pulls against this vertical piece a tiny bit. Alright, so I'm going to drill a hole right here. There we go. Okay, so you see how that's next there. Since my straps are smaller than this area right here, if I don't get everything just right, this tank can move a little bit. So I'm going to hold them to the inside on both straps, and then that will capture that tank where it won't move. Let's get this first one in. Put it right in the right next to it, like so. Okay, you loosen that up a little bit. It's pulled quite a bit over on this side. Okay, Don't look too bad. Okay, look at that. Tight. I don't have those all the way in. I don't want to pull too much on this tank. So you may have to play with it a little bit. That's what I tell my wife. You don't have to go to a sheet metal place to get this. You can get this metal at Lowe's or Home Depot. Okay. I don't think it's going anywhere until these straps rust out with bleach. So originally my plan was to pressurize this tank with that drop tube that goes down to the bottom. I did have this air chuck right here, and I made like a 20-minute, 30-minute video on how I did all this, and I don't want to show it because I basically made a huge bomb out of it. Later I found out it was pretty dangerous what I did, and I don't want to actually show that, but I will tell you what I did was I had this on here. I put 20 pounds of air in here, and I wasn't watching, and this bowed up, I'm not kidding, this high, and bent all this up like this, and the water was coming out. I even put a hose on it, and I got 5 gallons per minute out of here. It was just shooting out of here. And then I realized this was all bent out of shape, and this polyethylene tank is 2 pieces, and even though it was 20 pounds, I could have blown this apart. I guess I did some calculations. I don't know if I'm right or not, but it was like 10,000 pounds of force on this whole vessel just by putting 20 pounds in it, something like that. It was crazy. so I abandoned that, and because originally I was just going to pump from here and bypass my pump and just fill my bleach tank up. So I wasn't concerned about this drop tube in here having any kind of filter on it. Well, now since I've abandoned this, I've plugged this. I'm going to take this drop tube out of here, and I'm going to have to put a filter in the bottom of it. And what I did was I went to my local Menards, and I've got this well point, and actually I see they call it well screen, but it's a well screen or well point, and they've got these grooves cut in it, and I didn't even know, but it says here the grooves are 10,000, the slot size is 10,000ths of an inch. So I guess you can get this in different widths of the slots. But anyway, this is a filter, and it's going to not disintegrate in bleach. And so they sell them online. They're whatever, 16 or 20 bucks, and they're about this long. And so, you know, that's okay, but I needed one right now, so I went to Menards, and this 3-foot piece that I know I can get 4 or 5 filters out of was only $8.50. So what I'm going to do is basically just put a fitting on here, reduce it down, and put my drop tube here, and then put a cap on like this. So this will go down in the tank, it'll filter, and then I'm going to have to end up pulling this up out of here, and I'm going to go ahead and go with my original idea of using, now this is all down because the last 3 nights here in Missouri it got down to 25 degrees and kind of freaked me out, and it's April 2nd right now. So I came out here thinking all this was going to freeze, and this is expensive, all this is expensive. So I just opened it up and drained everything I could. I didn't have the pump any water in that, so that was good. And so yeah, three nights in a row is like 25 degrees. So now I'm going to use this pump as my transfer pump into the tank with this three-way valve. Turn it down, it goes into my reel. Go up, I'll have a hose that I can drop in the top. And this actually is going to be better, because if I need to be out on the road and say I've got some if I buy a 55-gallon drum of SH, I can just drop a tube in it. Like at Sherwin-Williams, they've got 55-gallon drums if I ask them, and so I can just drop a tube in. It's going to be more convenient because now I can just fill a few jugs for extra. But by doing it this way, I don't want any trash to get in this pump, and so that's why I'm configuring this filter for my pickup tube. So that's what I'm doing. That's my new plan. Okay, so I'm utilizing my chop saw so I can make a nice clean cut. So I'm just going to guesstimate here. You see the filtering part starts here, so I'll just kind of guess. There's no need to cut it right here and lose some filtering by gluing my fitting on. So each end has like a 3-inch margin right here that I can use. If I glue that on there, I've lost this, but I don't want to glue it here and lose that. So I'll just hack it right here. Oh, okay, another safety tip. I'm using a saw. I'm using a power saw, so off comes the gloves, just in case you don't want to get your hand pulled into anything. So that looks good. And I'm sure there's going to be a burr right there, which isn't really important for this, but I just do that anyway. Okay, so got to clean all this up first. So now when that glues up there, it'll be right next to my filter, the slots. And so I'm just going to kind of guesstimate where I want this cap, and I think I like it right there, so I'm going to cut it right here. Right there. Cap goes on there. This goes here. Okay, before I glue that up, I want to see how many filters I can get out of it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get 4 filters out of there. So that's basically equivalent of about $75 worth of filters you'd buy online for, I don't know, this whole thing was $8.50, and these fittings, so probably $5 a piece on each filter. So yeah, I may never use that again, but it's just money better spent doing it this way. So here's another little plumbing trick, and I don't know why I haven't shown it on video and I didn't do it, but when I was plumbing new houses and repair too, you're always dumping these over. Believe me, when you're working with these on a ladder or crawl space or whatever, they dump over. And also you'll find one can and not the other. So this is the primer, this is the cement, and so what we would do is we would tape this together. It doesn't have to be perfect, and we would just put a couple of rounds on it like that, and then now it's harder to tip over, and you've always got your primer and glue all in one neat little package. Prime them up. This doesn't have to be perfect, guys. It's just a filter, no pressure, no nothing. You don't need to put a ton of glue on it either. reducer in because I have, well, I didn't prime it because I put a 3/4 inch drop stick. Yeah, because I have a 3/4 inch bulkhead in it, so I'm gonna go with it. If I wasn't taping and talking, I could have done a little prettier job. What's amazing is, like that filter I put in the bottom here that's like this, is how much airflow is just in the small area. Because you'd think you'd feel restriction right there, but there's hardly going to be any restriction. There's just, you can't even feel any restriction. Anyway, it makes a good filter. Alright guys, so I thought I put a 3/4 inch drop tube in there, but I actually put a 1 inch. So it's been about 2 minutes. I've got this bushing in here, and I'm going to try to get it out, and so I can put the 1 inch bushing in there. So let me show you how to try to do that. Yeah, that was a mistake. I mean, we all make mistakes. So usually if you have a pipe, you can wiggle it this way and get it out, but I can't do that here. But I might be able to spin it. Sometimes you can spin them since they're not fully cured. I'd like to get an inch in there. I should have looked. There we go. So you spin and pull up at the same time. Get that out of there. Oh God, I gave myself a broken nose. Okay. All right, so you know, if that hasn't fully set up, you can get your fittings apart. It takes some doing, but all right. A lot of crap in there from doing that. Okay. I'm going to put the correct bushing in for my inch drop tube. So just go through the same process again. Prime again. Doesn't have to be perfect on this. It's not going to have any pressure on it. So get some glue. Glue. Oh well, crap, there's a stupid tag on there. What the heck? Nothing's going right now. I miss that paper tag. I don't want that on there. I don't think it'll matter, but I don't want it on there. Okay. We're going to get it, guys. Just bear with me. Alright. Let's start over. A little primer on that. We want to re-glue. Glue. Alright. Like I said, it don't have to be perfect. I'm going to put it between my legs here so I can push it and turn it. Alrighty then. Now we're an inch, not 3/4. So I'll be able to, you know, put that in there, but that's going to make it too long. This was about a 1/4 inch off the bottom, and so I'm going to just eyeball this like this. I'm just going to eyeball here. where it's really right on the bottom. So here's the end, and I believe that's 3/4 of an inch. No, I believe that's an inch. On an inch pressure, I believe you have an inch. Yep, an inch glue surface. So if I hold it here, kind of give myself like a 1/4 inch longer, like so, come over here and put my finger right here, then I have to add an inch. And an inch is right on this mark right there. So now I just cut that off. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna hose everything off. Make sure I get all the crap out of it. Okay, from here on out I gotta be pretty clean. I'm going to be careful about how much glue I put on here. Okay, got the end doped up. Climb up here and try to get this sucker in there. Now I wish I'd put that over here, that bulkhead. What I was able to do is loosen this bulkhead up, and I got the pipe underneath of it, and I could turn the bulkhead itself and get it started. So that's working out. All right, I think I got it. Oh my. That filter's, it's a little off the bottom. I wanted it to rub up on the bottom, but yeah, we can't get everything we want. All right. Okay. Notice I kept a little bit off the end because I don't want this tape fraying and getting in here and then getting sucked into my pump. So let's try this. Oh yeah, it's getting really tight. One more time around. Okay, that ought to do it. If it don't, I'll redo it. All right, so I've got some 3/4 inch section line coming, the reinforced section line, so I'll just put it on here, and then the other line, the other side of it, I'll put it right here, and I'm going to mount this where I can just hook into it. Then from this end, it's going to go under there and come up to this business right here, right into here. So that's my plan. Now I can carry on the truck like a 12-foot whip line that has this cam lock on it. So if I want to transfer from another barrel or somewhere else onto here, I can. And also what this does is I can have like a 4-foot whip line, and if I need to special batch mix something that with chemical I don't normally have, then I can batch mix it in a 5-gallon bucket, drop this in, turn this valve on, turn everything off here, and come out here and bring this baby down here and run my special batch mix through here, through my soft wash, and so it gives me more flexibility. All right, I'm going to tighten this nipple up here. Make sure you have a backup wrench. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this barb adapter on. This side right here. And this, if I don't get it on real tight and it leaks, I can always tighten it up later. Oop, there we go. Make sure none of it gets inside. Okay, so I put it at an angle on purpose. I get up here and turn it. All right, so what we're going to do is re-engineer these reel locks on these Titan reels. Every one of my reels has this stupid design right here. What you do is you put your finger in here. They barely leave you enough room to even hook your finger. Then you got to pull out and then bring it up like this. And you see right here there's a pinch point right there. I've already, when I first got these, this is all sharp, and so I rounded all this off. And later working out here, I got to thinking there's a better design. So I mean, this is if your hands are wet and noodly and you're trying to pull this up to unlock your reel, you could split yourself open right there. Now it would have been better with this design if they would have gave you about an inch right here, and that would have been a lot easier, but they didn't. And so what I'm going to do is make a ramp right here. I'm going to take and cut across here. I've got my line in the wrong spot, but just across there, so that way we can just lift up on this lever and it'll follow that ramp and lock in. And then on the other hand, when we bring it down like this, it'll more easily go in the lock position. So that's what we're going to do now. Cut this off. All right. Oh, I guess I ought to plug it in. That help. That will help. This way. All right. Alright, so I'm going to smooth it out with this flap disc wheel. I don't know why engineers can't just go out and try to work the crap that they design. Then they would make changes like this. there. Okay, let's see if it's any better. I'll bring this up. I already have more to hook my finger on right here. Look how easy that is. And then to take it off, just flop it off. See, it almost goes down by itself. Like that. Much easier. So I'm going to do that to the rest of them. And so there's a little tip for you, Titan. When you're charging $400, $500 for these reels, maybe you ought to include little features like that. Stand out in the crowd.